Warning, this podcast will contain spoilers about the series Hunted Australia. It'll contain some strong language and at some point may even contain a dog. Hide and Seek is a childhood classic game played by children all around the globe. But how about when they become grown-ups?
Could they leave behind the lives they built and stay hidden in order to win a cash prize, evading capture from their country's elite team of hunters?
My name's Craig.
And I'm Nat. In 2022, we discovered the UK version of Hunted and became obsessed.
We've since found out about Hunted all around the globe, and for this series of the podcast, we're going down under to talk all things Hunted Australia.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. I've just received information that we have 18 fugitives in 2 vehicles headed towards the Melbourne area.
Copy check.
Fido Delta will review the footage and stand by.
You got to trust your instincts. I know you thought you were trusting them today. Maybe you were. We don't know if they came. That's just it. We don't.
The thing that scares me the most about going on the run is paranoia. Just that whole unknown element of, will we be hunted today?
Surveillance in Australia, I just feel like everyone's being watched.
If I can't outsmart the hunters, then how am I supposed to do my own job? It's almost conflicting to normally be the good guy.
You're the bad cop now.
Yeah, but you still have to win.
Why not my house? I mean, that's an option.
That's a rookie error. Like, only because it's the first night. They'll be thinking, well, who are they going to reach out to first?
I quite honestly don't think it's going to be an issue tonight.
That's the access point right there for vehicles.
So if we're going to deploy a sentry camera on that, we want to have it in a position that can cover the driveway and on foot straight at the front door.
Hi Delta team, what I need is you to put a camera up so we can see all access points, keep them under surveillance, do not get compromised.
Is there anyone in the car?
Oh, look, they might be leading down.
We're going to lose Jackie in a minute.
Is that Jackie? That's Jackie. Jackie!
Oh, hunters. That's her. That's her. Oh
no! So it's time to get your capture pants on and run away from the hunters.
It's not the hunters I'd worry about, it's the 400,000 crocodiles and 140 species of land snake.
It's okay. No snakes or crocodiles are going to get you here. We're still in the UK.
Jordan might though.
Good point.
Welcome to the Hunted Podcast.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
Welcome back to the Hunted Podcast for our review of episode 8. Last week, it was all about exhaustion, paranoia and fear. This week, it's all about...
Dodgy wigs.
No.
Sitting down captures on a bus, aka boring captures.
No.
Come on then, what is it?
It's all about...
Yeah, come on, I haven't got all day.
Tension!
Oh, I see what you did there. Are you trying to be me this week? Are you trying to do the funny stuff?
Yeah, I was trying.
Alright, I'll do you then.
Go on then.
And if you want to follow us on social media, we are at Hunted Podcast on Instagram, at Hunted Podcast on Twitter, at Hunted Pod on Facebook, and huntedpod@gmail.com. And yes, I know, I got all of them wrong, didn't I?
Yeah, should we swap back?
Okay, you go. I mean, you can do more intros. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that. You carry on doing that. You were actually quite good at it.
Thanks.
So, why don't you just do the thing? Tell people where they can find us.
Okay, yeah. They can find us on Instagram at HuntedPod. Twitter, it's at HuntedPod. Facebook, we're just HuntedPod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can email us huntedpod@outlook.com.
Yeah, not had any for a while, so
no,
yeah, please do email
hi.
us. Yeah, come and say hi. Just because we're not watching the UK version at the minute doesn't mean that you can't email us.
No, email us about anything hunted related.
What if you're an Australian that's been listening to this? Email us to complain about my really bad Australian accent if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, just
engage
send
in
us
conversation.
something.
Yeah, send us something and engage in conversation. That's all we want you to do. Right, well, as you said, penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Now, at the very start of this series, I complained in episode 1 of the podcast that the episodes were really long and that I couldn't see how it would work dragging out, because we sort of knew from the little bit of research that we'd done, I couldn't see how dragging it out over 2 episodes in terms of that last few days would work. But actually, it really did work, didn't it?
It did. Those short amount of days, I think we covered like 1.5 days.
Yeah.
But it worked so well because I think because there's less of them as well, we can see more of what everyone's doing. Maybe
it was just a little bit of luck, because in terms of like fugitives that have been found and fugitives that are left, there's not many left when we pick it up with 3 days to go.
No.
There's 2.5 teams at that point. So, there is less of them, therefore more action to be shown. They've obviously committed to 9 episodes in the series or whatever. So there is that opportunity to show it. But that's why I think we wrote down the word tension, because it actually really does portray the tension really, really well. And I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah. And I think there's also bits where they have you like wondering, are they going to find them? Are they not going to find them? Is it going to happen? Is it not?
And it really does keep you on your toes. I mean, I think, if we'd have watched it all in one clump, I think I might have been a little bit frustrated by it, because I think by this point I'd be ready to get to the end. If we'd have done the binge watch like we did on the UK version.
Yeah.
Because actually thinking about it, when we binge watched the UK versions initially, up until the last Celeb Punted series, we'd never watched it as it went out. We probably were a little bit disappointed that was it, and we wanted to see a little bit more. So maybe we wanted to see a bit more balance, and that's what they've done. But yeah, I'm a fan of what they did with that stretching out. I'm actually now really looking forward to when we sit down and watch the finale to see if that tension ramps up, if it's an anticlimax, or if they get it right. So well done, Australian TV producers.
Well done, Australia.
Shall we remind people where we are then? So obviously, if you are just listening to this for the first time and you're thinking, what on earth are these two banging on about? We are a couple, yes.
Yep.
6 years.
6 years.
Just wishing for more, obviously. Got away with that, kids getting. And we discovered Hunted, like we said in the intro, last year, became obsessed and decided to start a podcast about it, mainly to stop a comedian in the UK called Ed Gamble doing the podcast, because he does every other podcast on TV shows that we like. Just for a laugh, really, we started doing it. We were going to stop after 10 episodes, and then we decided to push ourselves when Celebrity Hunted came out. Had a really good response to it, and decided to carry on because people wanted more. And here we are.
Here we are.
If you're an Australian listening to this and you're thinking, whatever, just get involved and get on board with it, because we're going to take Australian Hunted under our wing now.
We are.
And we've got lots more to come, by the way. The point of what I was saying is just a little bit of background on us, and, that we have all these questions and the way we watch TV and stuff. And it's just quite interesting, I think, to see like how we watch it and what we've done historically. So it's quite a different. We've gone back to what we've tried to do with Australian Hunted is find an amalgamation between the way we first started watching Hunted, which was binge watch.
Yeah.
Because we didn't actually start doing a podcast until we got quite late into it. But we were talking about it like all the time. Like every conversation we had, if like we were driving into town or to get food or shopping, it was literally Hunted which dominated our conversations.
Yeah, we were always thinking of somewhere we could hide or somewhere we could run to.
What like the moves we'd make and things like that. It got properly in our head, but we'd binge watched it.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if it was that. And then obviously when we got to the celeb version, we were watching it as it went out on TV, week by week by week. And we've tried to do that with Australian Hunted. So obviously it was on TV last year, maybe, the Australian version in Australia.
Possibly, yeah.
Came over to the UK about 2 months ago now on All 4. And We did think about binge watching it and then talked about it afterwards, but then we decided that what we'd do is we'd podcast about it and we would watch it week by week. All right, some of the episodes we've watched back to back because they were shorter and we had ideas. We were basically trying to... At that point, we had no idea when our next UK Civilian Hunter was going to air, so we were trying to sort of get it done. We know a little bit more about when that may or may not air now, so we're fairly comfortable that we'll be able to finish this and it not be interrupted. So we've just started watching it probably twice a week and doing podcasts about it because we're trying to get a little bit ahead of ourselves now because we've got some other stuff coming up which we need the time for.
Yes.
So long-winded answer, we've been trying to do a little bit of the two, but we've been waiting in between each episode rather than just going, should we watch the next one? All right then. And there
we
go.
give ourselves a few days.
So shall we remind people where we're at?
Yes. So, end of episode 7, we were at 3 days remaining. So that makes us 18 days.
If it was 21 days on the run, minus 3, I'm going to say that's probably
18.
about right. That's probably not right, is it?
Yeah.
That's maths.
Yeah. So we had Nick and Lavinia getting on a bus. Alpha and Charlie teams turning up to the station. Nick getting off the bus and running, being caught, but Lavinia staying on the bus.
Now, and that's where it went zoom, and it finished. I have a little bit of inside intel on that capture. I'm not going to say who from because I don't want to reveal my sources and get anyone in trouble. And I'm not going to reveal all of it. But I said at the end of the last episode about talking about basically how could they not see them? They were trapped on the bus. How could they not get them? And it's as simple as this. Basically, it's basically a one team missed the turn into the bus depot, so it ended up on the road that paralleled the tracks that was only accessible via a walkway, which Nick ran over to by driving back and over the tracks. They didn't know that they were on the bus initially. They only identified them on the bus when they stood up and moved to the front of said bus. The bus doors were closed as one of them approached, and then Nick told the driver he had to let him off. He then ran, and both the team thought that Lavinia would also go, but she stayed on. The driver shut the door with her inside, and obviously because they were chasing what they thought was them both, but wasn't, had left the bus there and left the bus to pull away. As they ran back towards the bus, obviously realised, so one of them went back towards the bus and off they went. Another one, I think it was Clancy, who were part of the team, chased Nick for before obviously capturing him. And things like that as well. So it's one of those things where it's one of those things where they're like, it's made to look like the hunters knew they were on the bus but didn't. And it's just those little bits of misinformation and things like that. And then obviously them following the bus. And sometimes, you know, the whole Sorry Jordan thing.
Yeah.
How I sometimes give him a little bit of criticism we give him a little bit of criticism for being bad.
Yeah.
The whole you and Thomas see your mate thing. Yeah. Hilarious, and we've turned it into a nice joke. Wouldn't do it if he didn't enjoy it and wasn't on board, by the way. But sometimes I do wonder, are the production making him look bad? Do you know what I mean? Like, when a ground team misses somebody, are production making them look bad by the way they edit it? And, when it cuts to HQ being frustrated and them going, fuck's sake, and all of that sort of stuff. And then HQ having to get the information to find out where they're going next.
Yeah.
Would it not make more sense if it was actually the ground hunters that got that information by talking to someone? So say, for example, let's take prime example of a bus capture. One's got off and run and been caught. Another's stayed on the bus. They've realised stayed on the bus and bus has gone. In terms of finding out where that bus is going, would it not make more sense for the ground team to have found out where it's going and then relayed that to HQ rather than HQ sourcing it?
Because surely they could just ask someone at the station really, really quickly.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I do wonder if production, and I'm not taking anything away from the HQ team because obviously they do their research as well, but in terms of practicality and asking those questions in the moment, I do wonder whether the ground team do more than what is shown.
Possibly, yeah.
Does that make sense in terms of asking those questions and relaying that information?
Well, yeah, because we don't see a lot of the ground hunters, really. We just see them travelling between captures, walking around asking if anyone's seen anyone. They clearly do a hell of a lot more than what we're seeing. I
would love to see more of the ground hunters, because I was thinking about this as well. It came to me. I'll tell you what, actually, when it came to my head, we were watching Police Interceptors.
Yep, good show.
Channel 5.
Channel 5.
And it's based in the area we live in. It's Nottinghamshire Police, and a lot of it, because it's Mansfield, ends up being Mansfield and surrounding areas. When someone gets lost, they had a foot chase with someone who'd stolen a car or something. I can't remember the exact one. But basically, this driver of this car had abandoned the car and got away. And there were two officers that were on the tail and tailing him. One officer had got out and was chasing. And there was another one who'd obviously was chasing behind and was asking members of the public, have you seen a man in a grey top, for example, running in this, looking out of breath or whatever, or anyone looking suspect? They're asking the questions. It's not, oh, Sarge, I've lost him. All right, leave it to us. We'll find out where they've gone.
Yeah.
So it just made me wonder a little bit.
Yeah.
If there's more to the ground hunters which should be shown.
Possibly, yeah.
Anyway, that's my little side note.
Okay.
I've gone off on a bit of a tangent.
All right.
I apologise.
It's all right.
Shall we go back to where we were then?
Yeah,
So
go on then.
we've got Nick captured at the end of episode 7. At the start of the episode 8, we pick up with Lavinia being stuck on the bus with paranoia and fear. Who else have we still got in the game?
We've still got Staffy and Matt. And we've still got Jake and Rob.
Staffy and Matt are friends.
Yep.
Jake and Rob are also friends.
But Jake is a police officer.
So they're taking it a little bit more... Yes. Not more seriously, but it's as Graham...
It's more to heart.
Yes. As I really apologise if I pronounce your name wrong again, but one of the HQ hunters, Graham Simpfendorfer?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Sorry if I said it wrong, Graham. Or Simph. Says this is a personal battle between the police force that I worked in and the police force he worked. And just that added bit of... There's that added level to it. There's that added layer to it is what we're saying. I guess we should delve straight in with Lavinia, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise it's not going to make sense, is it?
No, let's start off with Lavinia. She is on the bus and she says that she has nothing apart from $50 and a Mikey card, which is sort of like an oyster. So she does have something then. Yeah, I think
I would argue that
you could... she means that she doesn't have any of the camping stuff or the food or anything like that.
But I'd argue with $50 in your pocket that you don't have nothing.
Yeah.
All right, even if you've not got this, and this.
But let's remember what HQ has said previously about that pairing.
Ah, yes. Fair point.
So we'll leave it there.
Fair point. That they're used to having money and they're used to having
being comfortable
things and being comfortable. Yeah. So $50, which equates to around 25 quid, get you a Nando's ish, just about.
It'd get you quite a few Gregs.
Yeah. It'd get you some food and a bus ticket elsewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe a bed
she's got her Mikey card.
Exactly.
So that's her transport. But we have Team Alpha, who are still with Nick, but they're searching his belongings, which we've seen before and which we like.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, because this is again why I'm saying, right, why I went off on my little tangent. They're the ones searching his bag. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are finding out information.
Which they do here because they find a diary with their plan.
And then they relate to HQ, who can then can be like the strategic thing of going, bop, 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 this is what's happening.
Yeah. So they find the diary with the plan. However, the hunters aren't sure whether Lavinia got off the bus or not. So we know that this bus it was an express. So where they got on, there was one stop and then there was the end destination.
So there was only 2 possibilities as to where she could have got off.
Yeah. So hunters don't know, one, if she got off when Nick got off. They don't know. And then they realise we need to beat it to its final destination. But then whilst they're on their way to the final destination, they have the thought of, did she get off at whatever this middle stop was?
I think it was Druin.
Did she get off at Druin?
So I wrote down a really bad gag.
Come on then.
Druin or don't. That's about the level I was at. I apologise.
They don't know if she got off or not, and we see on the show that whilst at that stop, she's looking round and trying to decide whether to get off or not.
She's at a real panic. You really see her being really, really twitchy, and you can just tell that sometimes in a pairing, and this is nothing against her or them as a two, but sometimes when you're in a pairing, you are lost without another, and you just don't quite know. Like, splitting up was the worst thing for them to do. Like, she even said as soon as he got captured, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And you were certain moments when they were together as it getting towards the end of the run, which was like, I'm not sure if I want to carry on doing this or not.
Yeah. But she stays on the bus, and we get Team Delta and Team Bravo.
Yes.
Whoop, whoop. They do the route of the bus and manage to beat the bus to the terminal.
It's the Sunshine B109 and Bravo team, aka the Excited Schoolboys. Love it, lads. One of them comes out with the line, "It's about to get dark."
Ooh.
Love it. I thought it was a very good play on Sunshine.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Well, Team Bravo are Excited Schoolboys. They park their car up, and we see one of them stood where the buses come in. One of them stood elsewhere, and then we had Team Delta stood waiting at where the bus will pull up.
Yeah, literally waiting to get her as she came off.
They
didn't even let her off.
No, they don't even let the doors open, really. Like, as soon as they're open a little bit, they're on and like, can we just check your bus?
Yeah.
And they find her hiding on a chair.
And they make it briefly look like she's not there.
Yeah.
But she's hidden down sort of between the seats, really crouched down. And it's... Do you know what? We sort of looked at each other and went, like, did an eye roll as if to say another capture, which is like just like them there. But what else did you expect at that point, to be fair?
Obviously, with the UK Hunted bus capture, was it Charlene?
Yes, yeah.
She got off.
Was that Dave, Julie, get your coats?
Dave, Julie, get your coats. They were literally like, bus pulls up, taxi pulls up, out.
Yeah, she actually got off the bus. There was a bit of a chase.
There wasn't really a chase.
Well, no, but there was a split second.
Yeah, but she was oblivious to the fact that she was going to get caught. So that, yes, okay, it wasn't the greatest of captures, but it was funny. This one was just...
This one was basically... She's going to get off at one or two places. We're going to gamble and say that she's going to stay on to the end, and we're going to beat her there. And they did.
I would have rather that they let her get off and let her have that brief second of...
You wanted them to fuck with her head.
Yeah, I wanted her to get that brief second of, they don't know where I am. I've done it. I've got away. And then literally just for one of them to come behind her and gone...
It's the I'm a Celebrity thing where they bring out a steak dinner.
Yeah.
And go, let them smell it, let them look at it, and then go, actually, that's not yours. Here's 2 kangaroo balls.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I wanted her to have... And it's going to sound mean. I wanted her to have that little bit of hope that she'd done it and she was going to get to the end and she'd got away from them and they didn't know where she was, and then for it to be ripped away.
Because in the words of the great May from Ted Lasso, it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
I knew where you were going with it.
Thank you.
I did write down on my bit of paper that one of them says, this girl has nowhere to go. also Lavinia was like, I don't know what to do. And that at the end... Oh, and that also as well, talking about how they actually managed to track the bus. The asset tracking system,
Ooh.
basically the same as the car tracking system thing, but for buses, because buses' routes are tracked, that's how it comes on the things at bus stops saying 2 minutes or whatever.
I'm a fan of those.
Yeah, me too. Shame they're never accurate.
No.
Anyway, she says at the end when she's on the call, I was stuck in a steel box driving to the hunters. And also, I wrote down another dual capture. Even the hunter said it solemnly, like, Lavinia, you've been hunted. Like, really, like, almost like,
oh,
is that like, I want some action? Is that it?
Yeah.
And then we get another David Craig classic. Heads down, arse up, as he's giving his motivational speak. As we move our attentions to the other fugitives left in the game, who are Staffy and Matt, and who are Jake and Rob. Where are we going first?
I think we should go to Jake and Rob, because I feel like we didn't see too much of them, so it may be best to do them next.
Yes.
Yeah?
Excellent. Right, go. Where did we pick them up?
I don't know where they were, because I was really bad at writing down locations this week.
I wrote down West Footcray. I think that's what I wrote down. I can't read my own writing, but I wrote down West Footcray, split tactic, 3 days remain.
Yeah, so they were sitting and talking about the pros and cons of them splitting up, which I guess when you get to this point...
I was surprised that they didn't do it earlier.
Yeah.
And I knew that these would be the two to do it.
Yeah, and they were coming up with some good things. They were thinking, we don't know how many people are left. We don't know if it's just us or whether there's more than just us. But if it's just us, we want to make it so that they can't focus all of their teams on us. They've got to split up.
It's a little thing which Bobby Seagull taught us called probability and math.
Probability and math. Yeah. If there's more of you running, it means that there's less teams on each person. So they didn't know that at the same time there was still Staffy and Matt. So obviously by them splitting, it means the hunters have got to try and find more people.
Yeah, because that's what the hunters are banking on now. They're banking on people trying to stay together, because ideally when you know in that situation and things like that, at that point you think people would stay together because of the support barrier, and therefore they would go, right, A, B and C, or A and B, you're going here. D and E, you're going here, and C is a floater between the two, or whatever. However they want to work it, they basically just put assets towards that, and it's easier. The less people there are in the game, the easier it is for the hunters. Which is why I've always said it's critical what you do in the first 24 hours. But yeah, they very much decide that they want to split, and their plan is to find a local pub and find separate accommodation at that pub. But in order to do that, they're going to utilise Rob's skill set.
Yes.
So Jake's done the thing of, my skill set as a police officer, and I know now that there's power in us splitting up, and Rob's gone, right, leave it to me. Let's get us in disguise.
Yes. Rob uses his special effect skills, and he makes them both into women. So we have fake noses. He changes the shape of their faces. We have makeup. We even have fake bubicles.
Yes, and to be fair, we've seen a lot of dodgy wigs.
We have, yeah.
In Australian Hunted and in Hunted in general. When I'm talking about dodgy wigs this week, I'm talking more Staffy and Matt. Sorry, lads. But Jake and Rob, they do it. Rob does it really, really well.
Yeah.
That's his trade. So, well done. But essentially, they are, dressing up as women. Trying to adapt to different personality, and there is something which comes with that as well, because I wouldn't say it's easy for someone who's watching the CCTV to figure it out, but women do walk slightly differently to men.
Yes.
They have different postures and things like that, and They move in slightly different ways and will maybe act in different ways in terms of the hand gestures and pace and things like that. So you've got to get into that mindset as well. And also you need to make sure that you're not like letting your wig slip and all of that stuff. So you've got to be cautious about the way you do it. If you've got a recognisable way of walking, like if you've got a limp or a tell, which is about the way you stride, you need to change it. You need to change everything from you. It's not just your appearance, it's your mindset as well. And I did write down the question, would you dress up as a man for £100,000 to evade, if it meant evading capture to get to £100,000? And obviously the same question to me. Would I dress up as a woman for that money? So I'm going to put it on you first.
Okay.
Because I think going the opposite way from woman to man is different.
Yeah.
It's very different. It's going to be difficult for you. You know what I mean?
I'm going to need a baggy top.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a baggy top and a baggy hoodie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a really short man.
That's true.
Like, I'm going to be
there
a
are
really,
short men in
really
this
short
world.
man.
There are very short men in this world who, drive fast cars and things because it's, compensation for what they haven't got.
Yeah. But I'd do it. I'd give it a go. I'd need some baggy clothes and a wig.
How would it work with your hair? What would you do with the hair? Would it be hair up and like bald cap on, or would you go to the length of trimming it down as much as you could?
I think at the shortest I'd be willing to trim it'd be like shoulder length. Because I couldn't go any shorter than that because I'd hate it.
Bring your hair to the front so that...
So I'd be willing to go sort of here.
Right.
So that'd be like probably that.
Yeah, so sort of chin... Yeah.
Sort of like shoulder length.
Yeah.
But then I think I'd just...
I suppose in Australia you could get away with it because I think more in Australia there are more men with longer hair.
But I think
it's not a stereotype.
I think I'd whack it up.
That's what I've seen.
And either bald cap myself or wig myself.
Yeah.
Or do wig and hat.
I think bald cap and hat. I think you'd be more likely to.
I'd need to go hat. I think.
Yeah. Would I do it?
Come on. Would you dress up as a tall lady? And if you did, would you wear fake boobs?
I think I'd have to because I'm skinny. Like, I think it'd be quite obvious. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't think I would because I think I'm conscious that I walk in a certain way.
Would you change your hair colour?
I definitely like.
Like, would you?
What, to become a
No. Just like to disguise yourself. Would you temporarily? Because you can get temporary dyes that last like a certain number of washes.
Look, if it meant not being ginger, I would do anything. Although when I was 14, I did try like being cool and hip. We're talking 2002, 2003, 2004 time, 2003, 2004, and at one point, remember when like blonde highlights were a thing?
Like the tips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did try and put blonde highlights in my hair, right? And I looked like a walking candle.
Are there any pictures of this?
No, there are not. Thankfully, there are not.
Damn.
I mean, you wouldn't want to see it. I was horrendously bullied for it, and I did not like it. I've had my hair where it's been like short back and sides shaved. I might do that again and try and dye it. I think
dye it.
I think for a male changing their appearance, because that's what we're essentially talking about here. Would you change your appearance? Yes, I would change my appearance, but I would start the process by growing out a beard.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to go. It's easier to go down to normal to put stuff on. So I think I would go. That'd be my go-to.
I'd do temporary dyes.
I'd give it.
Because like my hair's already quite light.
But what can you do with ginger?
You just whack on like a black or a brown.
I don't think with my colour ginger it'd work much.
It would.
Well, I'd give it.
It wouldn't really matter, would it? You'd be on the run.
That's also true. Should we go back to
Yeah.
Jake and Robin?
Anyway.
Get that image of me being a walking candlelight in your head. Literally was.
Anyway, they find their accommodation.
People actually, like, there was one person who used to bully me a lot.
Yeah.
And used to, I mean, you'll laugh at this, and I laugh at it now as an adult, but at the time I did not find it funny. Used to shout the word when I started to get angry. Flame on! Absolute dick. Moving on.
Anyway, Jake and Rob, they find 2 sets of accommodation, and off they pop to their accommodation. We then see HQ, and I wrote down a quote, and I don't know whether it was said by the hunters or said by Jake and Rob, but I got top spot of the hunters' most wanted list.
Oh, I didn't get that one. I got that we've got to try and pick that window when they were talking about, like, what they were going to do next, and trying to think about the phone, because I think it was specifically about the phone. And that's quite interesting, because when they'd split and successfully split, you saw Jake talking a lot about trying to contact Rob.
Yes.
One thing I would not do if I were to split at that point with 3 days to go is even bother, best mate or not, about contacting my friend.
Yeah.
If we did it, I wouldn't even bother. I would trust in you enough to know that you know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst thing to do. Because it's showing you vulnerable, which of course you are.
Yeah.
But it's also giving the hunters, they pick up on that. Like, for example, they've already onto the burner phone. So if they pick up on that and intercept that call or text or whatever, and that defies the point of you splitting up, because it could give them the information that you have split and moved on. It defies the point. It defies the logic of doing it in the first place. So why bother?
Yeah. And, you know, they do use the burner phone again. Well, more HQ do, because they prank call it.
Yeah, it's switched off, which I don't know whether that means they can get a location or not. I don't think they can. So I think that's where we've got to try and pick that window comes from. And again, Simp says there's a hunt within a hunt, because he's taking it personally on looking for Jake, the policeman, which is quite funny. We don't really see much of them after that.
Nope.
And it'll be interesting to see how it progresses in the final episode with those two. Will they reach out to each other? Will they stay close to each other? Because they have sort of stayed in similar areas. And of course, it's all going to come crashing out anyway, because as soon as they are told the extraction point, the hunters are going to know, and straight away they'll go, well, we know what teams we've taken out of the game.
Yeah, so we now know that there's 3 people.
And we know so there's 3 people separately. So that must mean that they've split up by power of deduction. So, yeah, there's pros and cons of doing it. Maybe they should have perhaps done it a little bit earlier.
Maybe.
But, you know, if it gives them the best chance of getting away, then because it's still, regardless of the hunters knowing their location from the point of where they are from when they get the extraction details, still means that they've got to split the hunter teams into 3 rather than into 2.
Yeah.
So, still a little bit logical. Looking forward to seeing how that transpires next week. On then to Stathy and Matt.
Yes.
Who, they've given the hunters the right runaround.
They have.
And the tension part of the show very much comes from their actions.
Yes. So, we pick Staffy and Matt up. They are still camping. And they have found a group of ladies who have agreed to help them with the lift and accommodation. And we know that they're trying to get to the festival.
Chill Out Festival.
Chill Out Festival. And obviously, HQ are already suspect that they're going to go, and Team Alpha are already on their way to the festival.
And they're obviously trying to meet up with Dean, who is the organizer of the festival, and it's Dean who the hunters are very much onto because of Cyber's work, and they've got phone monitoring on. So when they're in Trenton and lend a phone off the locals. They know that phone call is made, and even though they do a little bit of coded chat, the hunters are still listening. But we spoke about coded chat with these two before, didn't we?
Yeah.
With the one on the fridge. This time, obviously, I don't think that anything from what the fridge will say will give it away.
Yeah.
But it's very much conversational in terms of something which resonates with Dean, because it gets explained a little bit later on when they're saying, meet us at the place where we first met Avery at 4:30. So they've got a time, which is a little bit foolish, but I guess you've got to give a time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Unless you do it in a coded way. Maybe could have some like, for example, if I said to you, meet me at the place where we had our first date at the time when Taskmaster would air.
Right, yeah.
You would know that it's
The mini golf
at
9 p.m.
There you go. So there is ways and means of
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah, there is that. But again, the hunters are very much following it, but are standing on a little bit of a blind alley, as we see with a nice little revelation about Avery.
Oh, yes. So Avery isn't an actual person.
I imagine the drag community would slightly disagree.
Sorry, drag community. Avery is a person, but isn't a person. Avery
is a persona.
Avery is Staffy's
drag name.
It's his drag persona. So it's where they first came up with the name of Avery.
Yeah. But obviously the hunters are actually searching for somebody called Avery, thinking that it's a friend or an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. So they're looking for an actual person. But I wonder how long it will be before they actually do put the dots together and go, drag convention. Have they done drag in the past? And if so, is there a social media post say meet Avery or whatever?
We'll see, maybe. But they managed to get a photo of Dean, who has been hosting some sort of event at a swimming pool.
Pool party.
Obviously in drag. So they get a photo of him. We have Team Charlie in plain clothes on the street and Team Alpha to the pool to try and locate Dean.
Yes. There's a little bit of a clue in the Avery name, by the way, which I think the hunters picked up on, but I think we maybe missed it. Avery is another name for a place where what animal is kept?
Birds.
Bird is what some English people
call a woman. Me bird.
Have you seen me bird? I mean, I'm sure more than English say it as well, but it's common in England. Bird is a common word used for woman in England, in the UK. So there you go. So there's a little bit of clue there. Sorry, what were you saying? You were saying about the picture of Dean.
Yes, they've got a picture of Dean in drag. It's given to teams Alpha and Charlie. Charlie are on the street in plain clothes. Alpha go to the pool, but there's no sign of Dean.
Love the fact that they're in plain clothes, because obviously blend in a little bit, and then they can just sort of have the phone. How many people do you see sort of like walking around town just like that on the phone, pretending to have a? I mean, they probably are having a video call.
No.
But right now, this might look like I'm having a video call, speaking to whoever, but actually I'm filming you or filming what the surroundings are.
Loads of people do it.
Yeah.
And, you do get loads of people who do just walk around like that, actually filming their location.
Yeah.
So
it's not inconceivable.
No.
It doesn't evoke too much suspicion.
Especially if there's a drag festival going on.
Yeah.
You're gonna get loads of people filming what's happening.
Yeah.
So we then see Staffy and Matt split up on their approach to the meeting point, and they're sort of dotted at different ends of the street, hiding behind trees, and they then spot Dean turn up, but
they're not the only ones to spot Dean turn up, because Dean is wearing a great big pink wig,
And a zebra dress.
So, couldn't really
and
miss him.
He's also stood in the wrong place.
Yeah, he goes to the very front of the building. They wanted him to go to the back.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that's the danger with doing coded chats, right? Because obviously he's gone to the place where they first met Avery, which was the pub where they came up with it, but not, not specifically take this table or go to the rear or whatever. It's very open. That's the phrase I was looking for. Thank you.
It's all right. So obviously there's quite a while that they're there, and Staffy makes the decision to walk to the back of the pub where there is a garden, and he manages to get someone's attention and asks them to pass a message to Dean, and luckily the person that he finds knows Dean.
Yeah, I think everybody in that pub would know Dean at that point. But also, you could say he's probably in drag, so find him. Can I just give a little bit of a shout out to Jace?
Yes.
Who has a little funny line in this.
Yeah.
Ben says good spot, and he says it's what we do, mate. Nice little thing of, I don't know why he's surprised, but I enjoyed it. Very good.
So he gets a message to Dean, and sort of it's asking him to walk a certain way. Team Alpha and Charlie both see that a message is given to him, and Team Alpha follow Dean, but they lose visual of him, and Dean walks the wrong way.
Critically, because Alpha are in a car still and not on foot.
Dean walks the correct way to begin with, and then walks the wrong way. So again, we've got
miscommunication, variables taking place, and things like that.
So Team Alpha drive down a street, they do a U-turn, but as they do the U-turn, or just before they do the U-turn, they spot someone behind a tree.
Yeah, Michelle, who's part of Team Alpha, spots someone behind the tree. It could have been Dean that they were looking for. Yeah. It could have been anyone, but she spots something behind the tree and goes, it's a bit suspicious. They spin round, and it's game on.
Yes, they spin round, they realise who it is, and it's get your running shoes on.
Now, I feel at this point that he made a wise choice. You are on a hill.
Yeah.
Okay. And you need to run.
Yeah.
Are you running uphill?
Yeah.
Or are you running downhill?
Downhill.
Absolutely running downhill. Momentum.
Yeah. So he runs one way, but we also then get Staffy running in the opposite direction.
Because critically, Staffy has clocked that Matt is being chased and knows that he's about to get captured.
Yeah.
But also, there's a nice little light bulb which goes on in Staffy's head, which is, well, if he's getting chased, that means that probably they're going to put most of their attention on him, which is this is my prime window to get out of here.
Yeah. So we have Matt running. Now, this is where I'd like to just make a little comment.
Okay.
And I've noticed it whenever we get a fugitive running on the Australian Hunted.
Right.
And in the UK, on our Hunted, when there is a capture, we all know that hands on means you're captured.
Yeah.
You are not captured until hands have been put on and we've had the blah, blah, your time on the run is over, you have been hunted down.
You have to think, Tig. You can't just shout, Tig.
Yeah.
You have to physically Tig.
Yeah.
So I can say to you right now, Natalie, you have been captured, your time on the run is over. Not the case.
No.
But if I go, Natalie, your time on the run is over, you have been captured.
I know I'm captured.
Hands are on there.
I know I'm captured. Whereas I am noticing.
By the way, it's not physically hand to hand. It's any
part
of the body.
Any part of you.
Touch, shoulder. It's usually shoulder, usually back.
Yeah. But I'm noticing on the Australian one, and correct me if this is how they do things or what, but this is just my comment. I'm noticing a lot that you're getting stop. You need to stop. You have been hunted down. Stop. You need to stop. But there's no hands on and they're still running.
Yeah, they're shouting that you've been hunted before.
Yeah. You've been hunted. Stop. You need to stop. Do they need to stop?
No, of course they don't.
Because they're a fugitive, so they just keep running.
Yeah, I mean, it might well be a tactic to try and go, well, we're going to get you anyway.
Maybe.
It's not.
It's just the the shouting.
Yeah, it's not, oh, I've seen you, that's it, you've been captured.
Yeah, no. So
That's define seeing you, because I could see a picture of you on your phone, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you've been captured, does
No.
it?
So we had it here with Matt. We had the stop. You need to stop.
I think we had it with Nick as well, and a
Yeah.
few others.
But Matt gives quite a good run here. You know, he has a good run, but I think he trips,
Yeah.
and that's game over. Capture.
Yeah, and he's put in the back of a car and off they go. It was actually, what made me laugh was he was put in the back of one car by Team Alpha, and they just buggered off and left him. Whose car was that?
You stay there, we're off.
Yeah, we're just going to look for you, mate.
So obviously Staffy's running in the opposite direction, and he then needs to find help. So he asks a man, but he just says no. He then asks another group of people that they've been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
He then finds someone else, and they say yes to helping him.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's a lot of panic there.
Yeah, the adrenaline must be pumping. Mine must be going through the roof.
When he speaks to the person who actually helps him, the words are like, I'm on the run, I've lost my friend has just been captured, can you help me, can you get me a lift, can you find me somewhere to stay? And it's just, I need to get all this information out really, really quickly. Please, can you help me?
It did give me memories of Series 6 and Nathan in Carlisle, but obviously that was so emotional because of the fact that he's deaf.
Yeah.
And he can't hear, and that the vulnerability level is shot up. But he does ask for help after a bit of denial and gets it. But I think with someone like Staffy, I think he is probably quite persuasive, won't give up too easily. There is an element of panic there and things like that. And he does manage to ultimately get away. And I look forward to seeing what happens with him now on his own in the final couple of days, knowing that he's got to try and make it to extraction and to try and get his share of $100,000. I did write one thing down at the end, and that is, of course, you always get the shot of them in the car afterwards. Don't know whose car he was in, but he was in the car and he was talking. You know, when they do the reflection interview.
Yeah.
At what point in the process would you find it emotionally difficult or emotionally hard to take the fact that you've been captured? Because obviously the closer that you get to winning and the finish line, the more it must like really get you and must be difficult to get over. I'll give you an example of like my personal life in terms of I was doing something for a long, long time, then I wasn't doing it for a long, long time, and I'd come to terms with it, but it took me a long time to get over the fact that I wasn't doing it. And then a couple of years ago now, out of the blue, I got the opportunity to do it again. Had a really great time doing it, had some fantastic memories, which I'll never forget, and, was a real pinnacle point in my career. But then all of a sudden, it was taken away just a few days before I thought it was going to continue.
Yeah.
And I'm still not over it, and we're a year on.
Yeah.
So at what point in the process does it become emotionally difficult to take rejection and to swallow the fact that something which you've wanted and worked towards and striven for so long, whether it's over a bigger period or a short amount of period, and all the decisions that you've taken, all the close calls that you've had, all the moves that you've made, at what point does it become that difficult to take? At what point in the process would you find it hard to accept that you've been hunted?
I think anywhere close to the end. I think if you get caught quite near the beginning, it's going to be annoying, but you're going to get over it more because you weren't within touching distance, let's say.
Yeah.
But I would count within touching distance to be, it depends how many days you're on the run for. Say it is 21. I think anything sort of 5 days to go.
Yeah, onwards,
you're within touching distance. You're getting there. And I think if you get caught once you know extraction details, that's it.
Yeah.
You're done. You're never going to get over that.
Because you knew where you were going to be. You knew what your end game was. You knew what moves you had to make, and you'd be playing that over and over and over again. I think I have to agree. I think if you get caught, let's break it into 3 blocks, beginning, middle, end. First, maybe 4 blocks actually. first 48 hours,
Yeah.
the golden 48 hours from the jump point.
Yeah.
If you get caught in that time, I think that's more bad luck.
Yeah.
Because you're not really making any decisions at that point other than trying to get away. And it's that thing of you are one in, let's say, what was there in this one? 12? 14? Have a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
18.
8, right. So if you're one, you are one pair in 18.
Yeah.
You are one in 18 people. So if you get caught in those first 48 hours, the hunters have got the same resources that they have at the end at the start.
Yeah.
So from a maths standpoint, probability-wise, at the start, you're less likely to get caught. You've just been unlucky that your
and
track has been traced.
You'll be a little bit annoyed.
Or that you've not made it out. The frustration comes from being annoyed at not getting out of the place and staying there too long and not having a methodical thought. The second period for me is day 3 to probably about day 10, which is the constant thing of, has this move been followed? Has that move been followed? Has that person's phone been traced? Has that been done? And then I think you're more frustrated at yourself because it's the decisions that you've made. From day 10 to probably day 17, 18.
Yeah.
Then it's more of the hunters have just done the job and caught me. I've done all in my power to get so far down this route. It's just a game of chess at this point, and who's going to blink first. And you are more frustrated that maybe you've not done things prior, like deleting messages or making one too many phone calls or staying in one too many places for too long. It's an investigational frustration, whereas the last 4 or 5 days, that's just anger because you are so close.
So very, very, very close. You're literally touching it, and I just don't think that's ever going to leave your head.
No. So it'd be interesting to see what happens and if anybody else is caught in the process, because we now have 3 people remaining in the game.
3.
And 2.5 days left?
Pretty much, yeah.
They're going to find out in the next episode about their extraction. And again, similar to the UK, they call a number, they get told the details, but as soon as they do, their exact location is revealed to the hunters.
And that will be the point that the hunters realise we've got 3.
Yes, absolutely. So it'd be interesting to see how they react to that,
yeah,
and how the hunters react to that, and how that changes their game plan. A couple of things which I enjoyed in this episode.
Yep.
Obviously, the tension part of it, which I mentioned at the start.
We had the chief in his notebook again.
We had the chief in his notebook, and we had heads down, arse up.
Heads down, arse up.
Get that on a mug or a t-shirt. But I also wrote down in the Statty and Matt part of it, they put a little map graphic on the screen of Stathy's here, Matt's here, Thingamabobby's here, Dean is here,
yeah,
Alpha team are there, Bravo team are there, Charlie team are there, Delta team are there, whatever. And it was just like very good visually to see.
Yeah.
So in terms of if you were trying to map it out and think logically about where you'd go, I enjoyed that.
Good.
I enjoyed it. Very much looking forward to the last episode,
yes,
and to wrapping up this series. And then, yeah, we'll see where we are with things, really. I can't believe that actually it's gone as it has. I actually felt at the start that it would take us so long to get through.
Yes, it did.
But we really have rattled on. But if you also look at the jump in terms of when people were caught, you know, Angie and Michelle, day 2, Erin, Ali and Jess, day 4, Courtney and Derek, day 8, then day 9 for Karen and Brittany, day 10 for Sonny, Joe and Grace, and then there's a massive jump. There's a whole week between them getting caught and Chris and Panit getting caught. But maybe there is a little bit of reasoning for that as well, which we can't say.
Nope.
But I'm sure if you did your research, you might find out about. Put it this way, it's a TV show, and certain things have to be done in TV shows, especially at the time of year that it was filmed. Yes. You put the dots together and make up your own investigational minds. Looking forward to the last episode, as we say, to see how it plays out, to see what they do with it. I'm expecting big things, but I'm expecting big things because of the way that the final episode of Celebrity Hunted in the UK played out. That was and remains to this day for me the best final episode of a series that I have seen so far, and it's going to take a lot for my mind to change on that. Australian Hunted, the task is there. We'll see what happens. Any other comments? Anything you enjoyed about that episode? Anything you're looking forward to or wanting to see in the final episode?
I'd maybe like another chase capture, or I don't just want it to be an easy extraction. I don't want there to be no hunters around. I want there to be some tension in that final moment.
Be interesting to see what the actual extraction is as well, whether it's going to be boat, plane, or whether they do something completely different.
Yeah, be good to see.
If you want to get involved and have your say, if you've been enjoying what you've been listening to, or you've got anything that you want to discuss, or maybe don't agree with, feel free to reach out for us on social media. We'd really love to hear from you, whether it's whatever it is you want to talk about. Follow us, share, tell all your friends about it.
Twitter @HuntedPod, Instagram @HuntedPod, Facebook we're just HuntedPod, or email us huntedpod@outlook.com.
And we will see you at the same time next week as we talk about episode number 9, the final episode in Australian Hunted Series 1, which will not wrap up our review of Australian Hunted. It will continue because we'll be doing at least one more episode, which we'll be talking about full comparisons and not about Fugitives and the things we saw on screen, the moves that they made, comparisons between the two, what we'd like to see in the UK version, that sort of thing. And then, fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll hopefully have 2 more episodes on top of that, where we'll be talking to a couple of fugitives from the show. But you've got to remember, at the time of recording this episode, we haven't done that yet. We're still in discussions with them. We've got to try and make it work in terms of time, because there is a massive time difference in the middle, so we may have to take a bit of a break. But we will try and get those done, try and get those to you, and and then we'll be moving on with more hunted related content. But until then, don't forget to
like, rate, subscribe,
and tell all your friends about the Hunted podcast, and carry on the journey. For now though, your time on the pod is over. You have been hunted, and we will see you
next time.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.